was having a conversation with one of my mentors the other day, and we were talking about the concept of being able to know when to provide people with value from your life and know that when to share it. And I believe that it's a fine line that we walk between being able to look into the depths or the lessons in which that we've learned or we've experienced, to then be able to pass those on to somebody else. I think there's a misconception, especially in the social media world, where oversharing is the place in which you help someone from. But I fundamentally believe that if you're sharing from a place that is of a wound, if you will, or an unhealed place, then you're not actually helping anyone, including yourself. You're trying to share an experience in which you've not healed from, or one in which that you've are still trying to process, but trying to heal by essentially projecting it onto somebody else. Instead of taking a step back and being able to heal it, to then be like, this is something I can talk about. And this is something that I can share from a place of, this is what I've learned and this is what happened and how I made it up the other side, as opposed to, let me try and talk about it while I'm going through it. On the same level, I fundamentally believe that we're all here to help each other. And we're all here to talk about our lived experiences so that hopefully I can, or you can, help someone from not making the same mistakes that you've made, while still understanding that everyone's is here for their own path. And you can choose to accept the help that's being presented to you, or you can just keep going about life your own way, which is obviously up to you. I think one of the most profound places that we can speak from is from a place of wisdom. So if you're creating content, or if you're trying to talk about things in which that you've lived in or lived through, and you're unable to do so from a place where emotion doesn't want to come up, you're not ready to talk about it. And if you're a coach or consultant, that is obviously the same. If you're trying to coach or maybe just coach someone through something that you still have heavy emotion around, you definitely shouldn't be trying to help them through it, because we can't quite help what we've not healed. I also believe that we go through life experiences to be able to share them. Obviously, in a way that's beneficial to the people that you're wanting to share with, but also for yourself as well. I've always believed that if you're willing to look at everything that you've gone through or walked through, if you will, from a place of wisdom and or power, you will be able to extract all the lessons from it. If you look at things in your life that you've gone through and you're unable to extract the lesson, you haven't been able to change the lens in which you can extract the lesson. And I'll give you examples, don't worry. If you've gone through a relationship dynamic where every relationship dynamic, whether it was healthy and it ended healthy or not, and you can't take a step back and understand the lessons that were presented to you, both in the relationship dynamic and the way that it ended, and you can't find them, you didn't learn lessons. You just basically went through something, and I would even go the words to say that you didn't experience anything because you can't extract the lesson from it. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I just went through a terrible relationship breakup and he was this, this, and this, or she was this, this, and this, you've not found the lesson. And you're not willing to also look at your part in it. Because if you could look at your part in it, you would find the lessons, and it wouldn't be a projection of this is what they did, even if they did the wrong thing. I'll give you a personal example from myself. After I went through a divorce and I came out the other side, a woman's fury of one of rage, I think, blinds us to the things that we need to see. So while it was most definitely an easy place to sit of he did this, this, and this wrong, and it wouldn't be this way if he didn't do this, this, and this, all that was just deep shame, embarrassment, hurt, and anger that I was unwilling to sit with. Because if I was willing to sit with it, then there would be no need to put that rage, if you will, out into other people and not be able to see the lessons, which is why it is of the utmost importance before you talk about something or try and share a perspective or give somebody else, your lived experience, that you're able to talk about it from a place of wisdom. The lessons in which I'm able to take from my marriage and then my divorce, I can take into the next one. I can take into how I operate in life. I can ask myself, was how I showed up in the relationship something that I want in my next one? Is how I showed up in my marriage something that I was maybe not proud of, that I could have done better? Was there times that I maybe knew in myself that I should have walked away and didn't? Was there times in it that maybe I didn't have boundaries, or I could have stood up for myself more, or maybe on the exit I didn't handle things correctly and I wish I did have? All of those are self-reflective towards me. Not once did I say, maybe he should have done this. That's not helpful for me. And so if you're in that place and you're like, well, they should have done this, this, and this, you're not taking the lessons. And the lessons involve you and only you, because that person, male or female, is no longer in your life. You can then apply that same logic into absolutely every area of your life. It's, how did I show up? What didn't I like about how I showed up? And how can I make it better starting this moment? Because we don't need to wait for the next job or the next person or the next insert whatever for it to actually make a positive change in ourselves. We're the thing, like the fundamental piece, I can't think of the word, but the main factor, if you will. Common denominator is the word. The common denominator across our entire life. So while things may happen that will be out of our control, it is within our control to change how we are in the next dynamic, or how we allow ourselves to be treated. Or if we go into a business partnership, maybe we negotiate better terms, or the exit, we negotiate better terms. It's, what do I want? What am I willing to change within me to ensure that I get it? And if you're not willing to do that, you're not learning any lessons. And the lessons that you have to learn are about yourself, because we can't change other people. So if you're not willing to change yourself, to change the circumstance, change the relationship or the business partnership or the job or the career, insert fitness goals, like fundamentally changing who you are, or your actions, your beliefs, whatever else, to get yourself to where you want to be, you'll just end up with the same thing again until you learn the lesson. And that's what other people are there to teach us. So if you find yourself getting into the same dynamic or the same situation or the same whatever circumstance, whether that be you lose weight and you gain it back, you make money and then you go broke, you get into a job that seemingly just constantly every company that you go to is just toxic, maybe it's time to say, I'm the common denominator in all these. And there's something that I'm doing that's causing this result. Because not every workplace that you go to is toxic. There may be unfortunate circumstances, right? But we control how we show up. And if the same thing is popping up over your life, you need to ask yourself, how am I showing up? What's the energy that I'm calling in? How my behaviors, actions need to be modified so that things change? Is all up to you. So when we go through things, those hard lessons, that hard path or the hard road, and we aren't willing to take a step back and say, this is what I learned, you're still looking through the lens of a wound, or you're looking through it through the lens of poor me, which is a victim state. anytime we try and point the finger outwards, or women were terribly good at this, we go from the logical brain into the emotional brain, and we start to get emotional about it, and it's really just a logical thing. Like, you just look at the facts, and from the facts, you can decide what happens next. The moment we flick into the emotional brain and it takes over, we've essentially just made up stories that don't exist. Or we create a bigger feeling out of something that didn't need to be there. And that feeling, right, whether it be anxiety, sadness, anger, is what's making the situation or circumstance feel really big. And it's not. It's like this big when we remove the emotion. And when you remove the emotion, you look at it through a logical lens. You say, well, this is mine to keep and that's theirs to keep. Or I knew I needed to change my jobs and I didn't. I knew I needed to eat better, but I didn't. You're looking at the lessons that you needed to learn. Simultaneously, once you've looked at the lessons, it's then your responsibility to be like, okay, I need to make a change. And then you take action. Because we can perpetuate the circle of learning constantly or trying to decipher the things that we need to understand, like the constant why or the constant how. Will just keep you in a perpetual loop of focusing on the how and the why and not what am I actually creating in my life. I've always been a very big believer that if you live too far in the past, it'll eat you alive. So I've always chosen to look at things that I've gone through, even through the most, some people will consider fucked up lens. I will just look at it as an event or as an experience. It's not good nor bad. It just is. And because I'm able to look at it through such a logical lens of it just is, then I can move on faster. I also look at something positive as just is. It was just an event. It just happened. The sales of my businesses, super exciting, so great. But to me, it was just like, okay, it just is, right? It's not good nor bad. It was just an event. So I applied the same logic of something successful in my life as just is, just like something seemingly bad, like a divorce, is. I'm able to move through them and look back at them, take my part that I need to, and be like, okay, apply it to the next thing. So even though those two things are opposite ends of the pendulum, one can be seemingly bad and one, depending on the marriage, and then one can be seemingly so positive. To me, they're on the same balance. So a flat line of just is. The part where I also lose people is I place that lens in the world of trauma. So the just is, shitty things happen all the time, and shitty things happen to good people, and fucked up things happen to good people all the time. That doesn't mean that we deserve it, or it was meant to happen, or, something seemingly positive could come from it, right? Nothing good might come from it. But unfortunately, it's our responsibility to clean it up. Also, it's, if you're able to, and it takes a lot to look at something through this lens of it just is. Because I think we're afraid to look at something in the lens of it just is, because then it has no meaning. So it's like, well, then what the fuck was it for? Like, I didn't experience that level of pain for what? Where I take my brain is to the opposite end. It's like, well, I experienced this level of joy, happiness, love, success for what? Right? Neither or has to mean anything. It only means something if I label it to mean something. I think the most helpful thing that got me to that place was understanding that there are shitty people in the world and shitty people will do shitty things. It's just how it is, right? And it's unfortunate that shitty things happen to good people. And if you can shift, and I know I say you can just, right? But it does take a lot. When you're able to put everything on the same level, the highs and the lows will remain the same. So if you think to a time, because I used to do this as well, I used to have super high highs and then the lows were low. Like, and you think of the polarity of a pendulum of the happiest, joyful person and the most depressed, almost suicidal person. I have been at both ends of the pendulum because of those high highs and low lows. And the most, I don't want to say it's the easiest, but I think it's the most functional way is to flatline it. And when you flatline something, I don't need to have a high to get the dopamine or the reward or whatever it is. And I don't need to fall into the low because something went wrong. I had a bad month. I lost all this money. I didn't perform how I wanted to, like insert whatever it is, went through a divorce. I don't have to have that low because I can keep the flat line. Some may argue that the flat line is like, well, you don't get to experience the great successes in life or whatever it is. But because of that flat line, I don't experience the lows that other people will. Depending on where you are at your journey and different levels, you'll hear this conversation differently.
Hello.
You're willing to handle the conversation and think of it from a place where I am able to keep myself at this level so that I can keep the flat line still. I'm able to get myself to the life that I want by reflecting on everything that I went through, whether it's good or bad, good or bad, right? I will be able to look at every life experience, whether it's considered trauma or not, and look at it through what lessons do I need to learn here? What things can I take away? So then I can still move forward to the life that I want to create, how I want to create it, and how I see it for myself. I'm trying to think of how I can end this for you because it will be a lot to take in and a lot to look at and be like, I don't want, like, it's unfortunate and whatever else. But if you can look at it through the lens of it just is, both the success and the bad, I promise you that flatline will be the best thing that's ever happened to you. I hope this conversation was slightly insightful for you, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next episode.